Good morning, everybody. It's time for Morning Manna, and this morning is all about the consistency of God. Consistency of God. Consistent. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone and they simply were not consistent? One day they were saying one thing, the next day they were saying another thing, and then the third day they were all over the map and even denying that they said anything the first day. Wow, inconsistent. And there's nothing more difficult to deal with than being in an inconsistent relationship. Well, that's not the case with God. God is consistent. But we need to break it down so you can see what that looks like. You can see how consistent God is on this Monday morning, getting ready for the rest of the week. And I just want to share this word with you on this morning. Going to give you the text to talk and the takeaway. The text to talk and the takeaway. But first, let me give you the context of the text. You've heard it before. Hear it again for the first time. With respect to looking at it through the lens of consistent. Consistent. The text is Deuteronomy 31:6. Here's what's going on. This is the succession plan for Joshua to take over from Moses. Moses is writing this and he's telling us, he's narrating to us what he is saying and what has been said, and the whole issue of what God is about to do. Because they mainly need to hear, is things going to be the same as they were under Joshua, as they were under you, Moses? So here we go. Deuteronomy 31:6, and it says this: be strong. Moses talking to Joshua. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. Here it is. Here's the consistency. He will not leave you or forsake you. Moses is talking to Joshua and to the children of Israel. Moses is about to step off the scene to Mount Pisgah. Moses is about to say, you know what? I'm about to leave. I cannot remain. It's time for me. My journey has come to an end. But this is what I want you all to know, children of Israel. God is consistent. God is consistent. And he's going to be consistent through what he does with Joshua. I'll read it again for you. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be of dread, be of dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. The consistency of God. He will not leave you or forsake you. Three things I want you to grab a hold of right here. The first thing is God is consistently loves us. God consistently loves us. He consistently loves us. In Romans 8:38, he says, nothing can separate you from my love. Nothing. Angels above, below. Pestilence, trials, nakedness, persecution. Nothing will separate me from loving you. God is just very clear about that. I'm going to be consistent with my love. You ever been in love with someone and they were not consistent? Today they love you and tomorrow they may or may not, or the whole thing is all up in the air. You're not even sure. Not with God. God says, when I started out loving you, I'm not going to stop loving you. Romans 8:38. Nothing can separate me from loving you. Second thing, consistently defends you. Consistently defends you. This is what God said in his word through the pen of David in a familiar psalm, Psalm 23. Psalm 23:4 says, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. The staff, of course, is what he uses to hook the lamb up, the sheep up, if they've fallen over a cliff or in a cleft and they can't get out. But the rod is what God uses to defend the sheep. You remember David, who gave his resume when he went down to fight Goliath, and he said, "What are you doing here, piece of boy? Go back. You got that wine and bread and cheese, and you brought us lunch. This is man's duty." And then David broke out with his resume. "I've killed the lion and the bear with my bare hands." How do you think he did it? He had a rod. It's a club. It's a club. See the thing over my right shoulder or left shoulder as you're looking at it? It's like a club, if you will, that they would then beat down whatever that will come up to try to take the sheep or kill the sheep or eat the sheep. Thy rod and thy staff. God consistently defends us. Consistently defends us. He told Jehoshaphat, "Don't you worry, the battle is not yours, but it's mine," said the Lord. "I got you." He will defend you. He's consistent with his defense of us. He's consistent with loving us. Here's the third thing. God is consistent in guiding us. God consistently guides us. James 1:5 says, if anybody lacks wisdom, raise your hand and ask for it. And then he said, I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to judge you because you don't know what to do right now. The fact that you're asking me for wisdom, I'm going to give it to you freely. I'm going to give it to you freely. Why? Because I'm going to be consistent with respect to guiding you. I'm going to be consistent with respect to defending you. I'm going to be consistent with respect to loving you. God is consistent. What's your takeaway this morning? Here's your takeaway. The takeaway is this. You can depend on God's consistency. You can depend on it. May not be able to depend on somebody that let you down. May not be able to depend on even yourself sometimes. But God is consistent. The Lord be with you today. His face shine upon you and give you peace. If this bless you, bless somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. I'll see you tomorrow morning with more Morning Manna. God bless you.